When President Obama became the leader of the United States, did you think things would change? And Bush was slammed by many for not signing on to the Kyoto Protocol. President Obama didn't either, and now the Kyoto Protocol could be dead.
Actually, we like to think that the countries that are not parties of the Kyoto Protocol shouldn't have the power actually to take decisions on a treaty that they are not part of it. And what it is, ironically, and the irony of how the system is functioning, is that the only country that is not party of the Kyoto Protocol have in their hands the power actually to the end of it. That's unfair. And that's unfair with the rest of the countries that actually signed to it and ratify it in a legally way.
How does the U.S. have power?
Because actually what start to happen with the Bali Action Plan negotiation, which is the part of the negotiation that is called LCA track, which is the long cooperative actions, they start to try to make this game of I will not continue with Kyoto if nothing happens regarding mitigation from developing countries in the LCA track. And that kind of blackmailing of positions is what is actually have the whole process in stake. So as U.S. wants to be under the LCA track, put in their
LCA track means?
LCA has a long cooperative action, and is the track that it is, the process that it is in the convention. U.S. is going to putting their obligations and their commitments in that track, which is not legally binding. And then the rest of the developed countries said that they should do the same and just jump from the Kyoto Protocol, which is legally binding, to a COP decision to have their obligations there. And that's unfair, and that's really ridiculous for them to think that developing countries are that stupid actually to go in the way to allow them to be jumping shippings, like if this was, I mean, a kind of a blackmailing of their obligations. Obligations cannot be blackmail. Obligations have to be enforced and have to be fulfilled. And they have a compliance regime under the Kyoto Protocol that they cannot just say that they will not follow.
And yet, talking about the possibility of your country and others pulling out right now, pulling out of these talks, right? Venezuela, Nicaragua, Ecuador, Bolivia. Who are the countries that you really are spearheading here, saying if Kyoto dies, you'll pull out of the talks?
Actually, I never heard any country, not even the U.S., saying that we will walk out. Never. And never ALBA countries said that we will leave this process if something didn't happen. Because what we actually criticize is that blackmailing approach. So we will not use it in our own. Not even in the worst moments of Copenhagen, we left that room. We stood there for 36 hours, actually, without sleeping and without eating and without leaving our chairs, because we were committed to a good agreement, and we didn't want them to impose us that paper that was illegal. So not even in the worst minutes of Copenhagen, we never left, and we will never left. The multilateral system is the only place in which all can sit, and in which all can talk, and we don't have any alternative but to actually talk until we'll understand each other and until we reach a solution for this. China's what?
What is China's role in these talks?
Actually, China has a very important role because they show, being a developing country, that when you have the political will to be engaged, you don't need actually to blackmail anybody, but just to put your commitments on the table and follow them. And China, even way before that little night in Copenhagen when the little room was made, actually China, since October 2009, they put on the table their commitments, and they said that they will go and they will fulfill what they said. And they still are holding to what they said. They never withdraw their commitments, and they never blackmail anybody just to do what they were supposed to do. And they are still doing it. And it's even bigger because they said that they don't want to take any money from the system to do their actions. They are going to do that domestically funded. So that's huge. I think that's huge. And that's a huge show that when a country wants, a country can.
Finally, Venezuela is one of the largest oil exporters in the world. Provides a tremendous amount of oil to the United States, in fact. What obligations does Venezuela have to cut back its gas emissions?
Well, regarding the gas emissions, actually, yes, Venezuela is a good example of how to be green with being at the same time an oil producer. Venezuela represents 0.48% of the total of emissions of the world, less than 1%. They are small developing countries, islands, that actually emits more than Venezuela, being an oil producer. Venezuela is part of the Amazonian basin. We have a long tradition of environmental engagement. We were the first country in Latin America to have a Ministry of Environment, and the first country in the whole region, in the whole America, to have a penal law for environment. So we are really committed with the environment, and in that sense, Venezuela has a lot of domestically funded mitigation actions that we have been doing since 2007. Since the moment that we actually signed the Bali Action Plan, we didn't expect to have the result of this process to actually start to doing our part. And Venezuela proudly can say now that we have changed, for example, our gas to our essence for vehicles to be plum-free, and that we actually start a very, very ambitious program to substitute bulb lamps. And now we have said that in less than a month, to be able to handle an energy crisis that we had, because our energy is a clean energy, is water produced. 70% of the energy of my country is produced by hydroelectrical power. As the rains didn't came last year in the appropriate way, our 70% of our energy was on stake. And we actually put on a plan to substitute bulb lamps as a way to actually mitigate and to help the hydro power to sustain. And we reached the goal of 60 million bulbs changed in 1 month, with all our communities engaged and people going house by house to explain people how to do that. And we reached a goal of 60 million bulbs, lamps in 1 month. Actually, I heard that one developed country put on the table 1 week ago a goal to substitute 30 million bulbs in 3 years. So Venezuela is engaged. We are doing our commitments without asking money for anybody, because our commitment is with the planet. And we are very proud to say that, yes, we are an oil producer, but our oil actually allowed us to develop a very ambitious social program that doesn't also reach benefits for our people, but actually exports benefits for others through, for example, health programs, to just get back the eyes to people that have eye problems, which is called Mission Miracle. And we go to little village in all areas in Central America and in Latin America, just to operate people, to get them the view back without charge, with no charge at all.
Claudia, thank you very much for being with us, Venezuela's chief climate negotiator here in Cancun, Mexico. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. Back in a minute.